meeting. Dr. Erica Jasper, lead us in prayer tonight.
Father, we come before you just as humbly as we know how. We thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. Now as we go forth, oh God, continue to give us your wisdom, oh God, as we conduct the business affairs of this city, oh God, this great city. We thank you for all the city workers. We ask that you bless everything that you see today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have our pledge. Number 2 is approve of minutes from the regular meeting held February 8th, 2021. Will someone make the motion, please?
Move to approve.
Thank
Second.
you. Roll call, please, Ms. Andy.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight? Yes. Oh, yes.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Commissioner Jasper? Yes. Commissioner Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. 3 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce the resolution, please?
I'll introduce that to be read by title only.
Thank you.
Resolution of the Carver Heights, Montclair Area Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase vacant land contract from the Land O'Lakes Lodge IBPOE of W number 656 Trust for the purpose of removing blighted conditions within the community and providing an effective deed.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
My concern is how was we going to secure that property there?
Ken Thomas, Housing. We plan to put a fence around it in order to keep the vagrants and trash as it is today, trash and debris. So we plan on fencing it in, keeping the grass cut, with the hopes of putting a house or some commercial development on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Let me just go on the record because I'm sure it's going to be a point of concern and topic of discussion. But the Elks Lodge did approach the city of Leesburg to purchase this property. It was not the city of Leesburg going to the Elks Club. Many of you probably are aware people sit out on the property all day, all night. It's been a very big concern of the community, but the Elks Lodge did approach the city of Leesburg to purchase this property.
We'll see. Yeah, I figured they must have given the price. This is the first time we've paid something, maybe even undervalued for a piece of property. So, it was nice to see that someone wanted to clean up the city and not trying to kind of hold us hostage over it.
I just want to chime in too. I'm excited about the idea that the city is purchasing this property, and hopefully we can establish a residential property there for a future family in the future.
Any public comment? Any other commission comment? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Commissioner Jasper?
Yes.
Commissioner Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Chairperson Christian?
Yes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Roebuck?
I know we talked at our budget meeting for the Carver Heights CRA about maybe some potential future plans, and I don't know if we want to talk about that tonight or at a different meeting, but I know I believe Chair Christian and Commissioner Jasper had I'm trying to think are you a commissioner on the CRA? That's what I was trying to think about, because I call him chair now instead of mayor. They mentioned having some ideas, and since we have to do this in the sunshine, this maybe would be an opportunity that they could share some with us, but if we want to explore it further with community meetings, I'm okay with that as well, as long as we get the ball rolling.
Commissioner Berry?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Connell?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Jasper?
Yes, I have a few items if we can explore those options. I know we were talking about the budget in the meeting last week. Once again, this is a case in point with the purchase of the Elks property of how the city can combat blight. And I'm like, moving forward, do we have any additional plans of how we can do that within the CRA Carver Heights community? And I do have a couple of ideas, and I just want to pass this around concerning, I'll just give you guys some too, a few ideas. Excuse me. Sorry. Also, too, I'll ask Anna if she could distribute Exhibit A. This is the property that the city is purchasing, and as you can see, this was live on Saturday. If you could blow it up just a little bit so everyone could see it. This was individuals congregating on this property, and this piece of property that we're purchasing today has been problematic in the past. I've been getting complaints from some nearby neighbors about the noise, about the riffraff on the corner, so I'm excited about the opportunity. I know there was a comment made on last week that we should save the funds, but I think this is a prime example of how we could move forward with the CRA funds and acquire land for housing and commercial development in the future, and also expansion of roadways and also beautification so we can avoid this case in point, as you can see here. The music was loud and very obnoxious as well, and so I'm excited about the opportunity that we have here. Listed here from in order of priority is acquisition of land, expansion of roadways, development of affordable housing, Carver Heights Commercial Center, small business grant assistance, and also Beecher Street beautification. So these are just some ideas that we have that we can explore in the future, and hopefully we can have another follow-up meeting so that we can implement some of these ideas and also hear back from the other commissioners. They have some additional ideas as well.
Sounds good. Anything in particular that you would like to see first, second?
First and second, they're in that order.
Okay.
The acquisition of land so that we can do commercial and residential development, expansion of roadways, and the development of affordable housing as well. That's what I would like to see. But that's just, it's not a one-person show.
Mr. Thomas, can you come? Commissioner Peterson, you had something?
Yeah, I was just going to make a couple comments, just following up, I think, on Dan's comments in our budget meeting. In the meeting I commented we were sitting on a lot of cash coming in. I do have concerns over leveraging it, and I think we had a pretty good discussion on that. Al expressed some concerns there. I'm not against borrowing money. I just hate to. I don't want to see us borrow too much money. Let me just stop right there. Mm-hmm. But I do think these are all good projects, and as long as we can keep our finances, our debt to a minimum, I'm fine with all this.
And Ken, I know the CRA already has some lots available for housing. My concern, this lot particular, and I'm a realist, to go out to city, purchase this lot. Those same individuals, we got to tell them you can't park here, or we're going to let them park. We put a fence up, then we take the fence down to build a house or something commercial. I would prefer to see us, if we had an old chain link fence we had, and we moved quickly into some type of development on this property, as opposed to us putting a $10,000 fence on it, which costs almost as much as we just paid for the property, but have a plan. And that is the corner of Berry Park. That is kind of the corner of turning towards, going towards Carver Middle on the other side. And I think if we did something, that we do it right, whether it's be something of single-family home or small multi-family, something that we could be proud of as a city, working with a developer. I don't know if you have somebody you've been talking to, but I would love to see us work with someone. I know we've been having a relationship with Homes and Partnership, but if we can get something going where if someone came in and they did a partnership, I'm not all into giving land away anymore. I think they can give us a little something to put back in the CRA, as Commissioner Peterson talking about, to pay off whatever we borrow, as opposed to just giving it away. I think with the cost of housing and land, that a minimal cost for something that we can do, if they're going to put something nice. I would like to see kind of an inventory of what Dr. Jasper's talking about with number one, maybe not acquiring land for housing, but what we already have, and seeing some type of, if we're gonna acquire, I would like to see us acquire something for commercial, that someone can come near the neighborhood, provide job opportunities, and increase the tax base at the same time. So that, I mean, if you got something, if you can bring something back to us at a future CRA, and other commissioners have ideas, we can send it, Mr. Thomas or Al, and put something together so we can come and kind of deal with them, unless
Well,
we got.
well, Mayor, just briefly, on this piece of property, we could go ahead and finance or at least fund a single family for under 200,000. We could build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with some of the partners that we have, Homes in Partnership and another organization who has shown interest to build single-family homes in the Carver Heights community. We could go ahead and build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, because most people would be more inclined to, buy a home in the Carver Heights community if they can see it. And, let's not, kid ourselves. It's not, I mean, we don't have to, people not knocking down the doors to locate in Carver Heights, so you have to make it somewhat attractive for them to be there. And so if we built one so that they can see it, we'll have a better chance of trying to sell it.
And so if we did that and they sold it, we're gonna get the money proceeds back and not the developer? How would we work that out?
Well, if we built it with our money, we would, get a return, or at least we
just
would
pay the
sell it.
developer at cost with a small profit?
Right, exactly.
And this lot's attractive because it had a house on it, so we will be not having to pay this impact fee, so that would allow us to get a cheaper house without having to pay
Right.
that $20,000 impact fee. So I don't know if you could, maybe if everybody's okay, bring something back to us and so we can look at it and see if that's something, if everybody's okay with us
That's a
going
good
that
idea.
direction.
That's a good idea.
Won't one of the developers just, I mean, I imagine if they'd probably pay us something for the lot, won't they just do it on their own? Isn't that been the model?
Yeah, there's a couple models out there. They could utilize our property to build their house. And in the past, as the mayor said, we have given the lot away to the property, to the end user, in order to entice them to build in the Carver Heights community. The other model is that we build the house, and when it's sold at the CO time, we get, a return, or at least we get paid back for the money that we put out to build the home. And you either charge for the land, or you give the land to the property owner at the closing table.
Yeah. I'm interested in hearing the different options. I will say I'm not super wild about the city getting in the home building business, just because you can also lose a lot of money that way too. I mean, and it's not kind of what the city does, but I'm open to hearing. The other thing is I kind of would like to see us preserve our cash, because then we got to put the cash up to do it, in order to buy some properties, to what the mayor said about trying to come up with somewhere where someone could do commercial. If we could, get enough contiguous parcels with our cash, tear down what's ever there if it's not vacant already, and entice a commercial developer. And my guess is that probably does mean basically giving the land away, because you're doing it in an area that for whatever reason the private market's not doing on its own, but it is in an opportunity zone, which has some benefits, some tax benefits, and so I'm really interested in the idea of if we could accumulate some parcels to do commercial. I think that would be really great for the area.
Mayor, I can bring back some possibilities for us at the next meeting.
Okay.
And Al and I can get together and we can discuss, what the priorities are in the areas. We know where our commercial nodes are, the best, the properties that are more probably positive to do development, economic development.
Okay.
And so we can bring those back to you.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Bird, you got anything?
Looking on my phone, just looking at the map.
Okay.
And I kind of agree with Dan. I see this area with a little more commercial possibility. There's not a lot of, transportation issues in the area, food service, something
Right.
that everybody in the area can benefit from. maybe as opposed to a home, just looking at it, you know.
Okay. Commissioner Peterson?
I'm fine with all the discussion. I do agree with Commissioner Roebuck. I don't think we want to get in the house building business. Let the private sector do that.
Okay. Commissioner Cornell?
I don't have anything other than I would agree on. I don't think we need to be getting into building houses, but other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay. Commissioner Connor?
That lot, we're talking about that lot right by the others.
Yes,
For
sir.
commercial wise, I just don't think we could put much there for commercial, you know, because of the size. When you're taking the building and the parking for commercial business, it just don't allow it, I don't think.
Okay.
So, I mean, a resident would be the best for that, I think.
All right. And
Is this vacant or improved? I'm a little confused.
Vacant. It's vacant.
It's vacant? Okay.
And Ken's gonna bring us throughout the whole community, any other commercial property he can identify, and like Commissioner Roebuck, he's talking about not just this property, but any other property that are blighted, we can piece together and then make a bigger commercial, piece of property. So Kenny, all right, you good on that?
We got it.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments,
Can I
concerns?
make one more comment
Yes,
before
ma'am.
we close? I just want to also advertise and also give kudos to Maria with the Art Center. She has a project coming up, and if you could put picture, this is her flyer to come out on this Tuesday, and also Thursday, July 15th, she's having an interest meeting regarding our coming up art project. So if you have any more questions, please see her regarding art projects that's going to take place in the Montclair area and also in the Beverly Shores area. So, thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Commissioner Connor?
No.
Chairperson Christian?
I have nothing tonight. Just want to appreciate Dr. Jasper for all your hard work, and to the staff and the commissioners for bringing new ideas. Oh, I had one thing. Al, I was noticing on the American Recovery Act funds, some cities are using, you talked about the blighted areas. A lot of cities are using that for affordable housing, workforce housing. So I guess that's an approved expense. So some of these projects that would come up, if you can just kind of identify and think about using some of those funds to assist us and get rid of some of this blight.
Will do.
And I did bring Al some pictures, so I did show him the pictures of Chester Street, of the overgrown utility facilities, as well as some properties we had that are just in terrible shape. And we do have on Stinson, we have a weekly dumping ground, I think, code enforcement saying, so every week someone's pretty much dumping stuff and we're having to go pick it up. So I don't know what our ideas were about stopping that or how we can mitigate that to some issue, but we still have issues of people dumping in this, on Stinson Street in Carver Heights. Thanks, Al. Mr. Parker, you had something? Yes, sir. Okay. You can take my minute.
I'm gonna be long. Max Parker, President of West Leesburg CDC. I just want to say thank you, Dr. Jasper, for what you proposed. I think the community will really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I have nothing tonight. Thank you. Motion to adjourn? All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your pictures. You supposed to put that on when we got ready to buy the property.
Thank you.
Next time, I want some video on a Saturday night. What happens on Saturday night? We want that video. Kanye's my neighbor. He lives like 200 acres away.
You're in a hurry.
That's why the wife left her. I'm not moving this spot. I'm a Kardashian, not the Hollywood. I don't need no Wyoming. Really? So he's a big man. He's like, wow. Why you doing this? Well, you know, Kanye, he got a different kind of mind, man. He's a different kind of dude, man. I just mom passed. That's how they do it in church service. People like doing church service. They just stop doing. Wow, man.
Yes.
Isn't it
No,
amazing?
26, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm from New York. That's why I'm from Wyoming. Too. Like,
I think it's the 26 because the Saturday's the 24th. So 6.
I just think he just does stuff. He's a great marketing guy, man. But he got so much money with the shoes. His shoes cost so much money. They ugly like that. And then he sued Walmart. And Walmart, yeah, but they were making fake shoes. And he sued them. And Walmart put them on the shelf. Like they said, a case, right? You know, Walmart take them on the shelf. I don't know how he did that. I guess somebody told me the right thing, man. Act like Shaq, man. Shaq put his portfolio on. Shaq was like this big number, but you showed him you was genius. Hey, Al, did they show you that?
Did you get a new one? The Baron?
He bought a hanger, you know. You gotta get a bigger airplane.
He's got that Baron.
You see the whole
Thanks, sir. Yep. Didn't you buy somebody a washer dryer?
We now call the Leesburg City Commission meeting to order. We've had our prayer invocation, so we're moving to our minutes. I'm sorry, we're moving to, I got the wrong agenda. So public comment. This section reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, please. Are there any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
So, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Maria Stefanovic, and I'm the Executive Director at the Leesburg Center for the Arts. I just wanted to give you an update of what's been happening. We partnered with the City of Leesburg Public Works Department and identified 4 lift stations to beautify throughout the city of Leesburg, and we're moving forward with that. Dr. Erica Jasper announced the 2 community meetings that we are having in the Mount Clair area. One is at Leesburg Resource Center tomorrow at 6 p.m., and the other will be at Beverly Shores Elementary School, which is on Thursday at 1 o'clock. We received an award, we were awarded an NEA grant, so National Endowment of the Arts gave us a grant for this project, and we're hoping to get it, we award the artist to complete the project and get that ready to go by December. So really excited about that, and I just wanted to give you an update on Summer Art Camp. We've been able to have 92 kids this summer, which we're back to normal, and we're really excited about that, and I just wanted to give you shout out and say thank you for supporting the arts and the kids in our community. We really are blessed to have your support. So thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to our consent agenda, where routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. Pull the item from the consent agenda, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote, and discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Are there any items tonight the commission would like to pull?
5B1.
No, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Move to proper second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Bless you, Al. 5B1 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
Introduced and read by title only.
Thank you.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a construction services agreement with Cathcart Construction Company, Florida, LLC, for an amount of $528,175 and providing an effective date.
A motion? Motion?
Approval.
Second.
Discussion, please.
So I noticed that this one, it appeared to come in over budget, but it didn't say what the original budget was for, and maybe to do with the lack of bids.
Right, I can give you some detail on that, and
Yeah.
Cliff can finish up. This was actually a project that we put in the queue a couple years ago, and the purpose of it was to change out old steel 2-inch main to upgrade it to modern-day standard 6-inch PVC. It's main only, and then from main to service meter. It affects about 56 water customers. It's just a tick under 4,000 linear feet of water main, and the main is on about 5 different streets. I think it was Boyle, Cottonwood, Lee, or not Lee, but Miller. I'm missing one that starts with a G in there. In any case, when that was designed about a year ago, the engineer's estimate is what we were working off. It was $390,000. It went out to bid. The bid that you're considering tonight is $528,000. So that's about a 30% increase. So we were looking at somewhere around $97 a linear foot. That increased up to about, I think it was $137 a linear foot. So 30% increase, that is a big number. Unfortunately, I think it's also typical of today's standards. The next thing you may want to consider is, does that make this project too big to pay for? I will leave that at your all's good judgment. The issue is one of the primary issues that the water department does is change out these old mains. Again, it was targeted for being a leaky spot. So I think we've fixed 10, 12 different various leaks out there in the process. So fire services, when you got the 2-inch main, is also an issue, and it's got a big sticker. But that's the primary, that's your primary object is changing out mains. So if you say, that's too much per customer, let's go to the next one on the list. You might see a little bit different unit cost if that number gets up, but in these small neighborhood projects. So like the next one on the list the next priority is to move to stock subdivision. My guess is you're going to see us kind of take these incremental approach, and you're still going to see that same unit cost. So you may shift the step on the bubble, but my suggestion would be let's get this one done under our belt and then move to the next.
And then my only question there, because obviously I think we need to do the project, and I get construction costs have gone up. My concern was the lack of bidders, and I understand why. And we're required by the state to bond, so we don't have any choice there. That keeps people out. Are we better to look at like taking 3 or 4 of these projects and then throw them all out at once, so you've got like a $1.5 million, $2 million project to get other people to bid, or you don't think that'll get any other interest or drive down any cost?
Cliff Kelsey, Director of Public Works. Yes, sir, that'd be a great idea. The trouble with that is we don't have designs in place for all those, but we could put out a bid for services for linear foot of pipe replacement to get a continuous contract for some of that work. Yes, sir.
And so I guess, if staff thinks we need to go ahead with this one, I'm okay. I just, would like to see in the future to get more bids. Maybe we need to be thinking about bundling a couple years at once, and, if that means not doing any for 2 years and then doing 3 years at once, or borrowing the money for 3 years, however that shakes out, I don't know.
Mike Thornton, Purchasing Manager. As I said in the agenda memo, part of the problem was a lot of contractors don't have any bonding capacity left, and I don't think bundling them is gonna solve that problem.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood the memo then. I thought you were saying that you didn't I read it as if the larger contractors that have bonding capacity weren't interested in a job this small. It's that they've used their capacity for
Correct.
The year.
Yeah, they have no more bonding capacity remaining.
Right, as projects have gotten more expensive and everyone's building everything.
So bundling them certainly wouldn't help that.
Wouldn't help that, okay.
So, waiting could help ease that, but, I don't have a crystal ball.
Well, given
we can put the next one out and we can see what happens. If we don't get a reasonable response, then we can always cancel it and hold it and reissue it later.
Yeah, no, I don't. With the American Recovery Funds being used for water, I don't think that you're going to see anytime soon a decrease in demand for those guys' work.
I just don't think there's any
Yeah.
good answers for you on this. With the commission saying that, we'll go back and talk internally and see what we can come up with. Bundling it not only has the pitfall that Mike brought up, but you also have bundling is if you do more of these, then you're going to have that bigger sticker for your engineering fees up front. Then we're going to spaz about how much it's costing for engineering designs that we might not bid at once. And then we go out to bid at once as we make those bigger water projects. And so we're going to allocate, instead of $500,000 or $1 million a year, now we're talking $3-4 million out years. Now we're going to start pinching into some of the other projects that we're going to be. So it is a little bit of a nip and tuck as you pay as you go. There's just not a good solution. And then the American Recovery Act does, now these projects are going to be, now you got all the cities looking to do water and sewer projects. So it's going to start to be a contractor's world.
So Mike, Cliff, the other bidder was probably like almost $400,000 more. Did they misread it, or did we just miss them?
That company is actually out of state. I think it was just kind of a, hey, if we get it, here's our number. They were actually the only bidder when the bid closed the first time.
Oh, wow.
And they just left their bid in there, and then we got the one additional bidder.
So that's why you rebid it, okay.
Yeah.
I just think, given the climate, given the experience that we've had now with the teen center and some of the pool issues, and almost probably the daily correspondence we get from Evergreen on some of the big projects, 30% of it is about what the market is. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Robo?
Yeah, those wood companies, I tell you, and those lumber companies, I tell you.
And I just thank purchasing staff for putting it back out to bid. I think so many cities you would see them come to you and just say, look, we got one bid for $917,000. We got to do the project, and this is it. They're the only people that are interested. Wow. So thank you guys for not just taking that and working to get some other bids.
How many more of these do we have on the horizon? Is this just on? Is this
$28 million?
Say that again.
$28 million. And this is part of the budget process that you guys probably don't see. And so when these come up, remember your department heads are already getting yelled at by me before you yell at me for not yelling at them. And that's kind of the process. And so when Cliff brought his annual budget to me this year, the exercise that started in May was go back and make sure that we're prioritizing these projects and that your guys are picking out the right areas of the city to fix. And so we do, where's our leaks? What's our most number of customers? I can't give you I wish I could give you a mathematical formula to say, if you drop the Cottonwood project, then you can go do the Stock subdivision project, and your number's gonna go from $9,500 a customer to $7,500 a customer. That would, if we do that, then we'll never get water main changed. But we have an analysis, we have a matrix of how much main, get rid of the old stuff, fire protection, where the leaks are. And so on my desk is a matrix from Cliff that has $28 million worth of projects. And we're just doing the budget. What's our capital number? Is Brandon, I don't see Brandy. What was our water project cap CIP? $5 million? I don't even think it was that. Two? So $2 or $3 million each year is, we're spreading out through the community. So, and I've identified $28 million of water main that we need to change out at $3 million chunks.
Yeah, and I may get laughed out of the room on this question, but when you talk about these contractors bidding high, is that something we could bring in-house if we have that much of a pipeline? I'm not brushed up with the numbers, but what's jumping the most of the material costs or what's cranking. I understand that. I'm just throwing out an idea when you talk about all these other cities.
So then we're going to be doing my least favorite thing to do that I would advise you against is then you would need to bring on more people,
I understand that.
more equipment, and then you're going to be a little bit at the whims of construction costs. So
I just threw out, it was just an idea that came to me over here in the conversations on, all the cities going through this. I just threw it out for discussion.
I don't think it's a bad question, and maybe we should put a pencil to paper how much a crew of what versus a contract cost would be in the interim. It'd probably be a good exercise.
Subcontract other citizens.
Especially, and especially right now in the light that it is that high. So let us not chew that one off. We'll take a peek.
Are projects like this, Al, is it possible to use that catalog contract services? Is that too big a project?
I'm not sure I understand what you're calling catalog.
The contractor that's
What we
like
did
doing
with
over
the
there.
building, the roof over there.
Bathrooms.
He's referring to the job order contract with Johnson Locks.
Oh.
And they do.
I mean, that was
They can do horizontal construction as well.
Yeah, we can go, yeah. I don't know if the number's going to be significantly different, but.
I did have one thing to say. I mean, I think for the cost, I understand we have to improve our infrastructure, but the cost just for 56 houses, that's like $9,500 a house. It just seems like I would think we would have better projects we could divert that money to in the city that would benefit more residents than just 56 for over $500,000.
Any other comments? Yeah, you want to answer from that, Commissioner Cornell?
Sir?
You want to answer from Al on that one?
Me and Al have talked about already today, but I wanted to go on the record and say I just think that's an awful lot of money to benefit so few homes. It's like I said, $9,500 a house, plus or minus. I would think we would have other projects in the city that we could service with that money to benefit more residents than just 56.
Okay. Any public comment? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
No.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. We'll move now to our public hearing and non-routine items. Item 6A1 is the second reading of an ordinance. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce, ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, Florida, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 36.9 plus minus acres from Industry and Technology Commerce Park to neighborhood mixed use for property generally located east of Florida's Turnpike and south of County Road 470, as legally described in Section 17, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion from the commission?
Was there any public comment from adjacent property owners on this?
I think we are the adjacent property owners, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I missing something?
Well,
Yes.
no, I mean, okay.
Yes.
I mean, I know we own the property out there, I just didn't know if anybody was adjacent to it or not.
Yes.
So we have no complaints.
I can answer that. I just figured it out. The Villages?
Yes.
Okay,
Would you like the rest of the answer?
sure.
The
Wouldn't ask the question if I didn't.
The Villages is opposed to the PUD. The Villages thinks that the 37 acres should be ARD zoned. And I'll leave it at that.
What's ARD?
Age-restricted development. Okay, let me speak in English so everybody understands. When we went in partnership with the Villages and brought them into the community and brought in, the acreage, we took the Villages' comprehensive plan, their street size, their densities, their blah, 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 all that stuff. We created another subsection of our code, and we call it the age-restricted development zoning classification. So the Villages is actually opposed to it. I would advise that the commission that you've modified that, 35 acres or whatever it is. We've modified this. We actually sold it, I want to say we entered into offer October of 16. The Villages came talking to us December of 17. I don't know the exact date. We ultimately sold it. When we sold it, the intent was to put Intilla Steel down there. It changed, understandably so. Long story short, the PUD is modified so that whatever type commercial development goes in there, it will grow in unison with the Villages type growth, which is ARD. That's been explained to the Villages, that's been explained to the owner, and all parties seem satisfied with that. And so your question was, has anybody squawked about this? The answer is yes, and that was it.
Okay, so this is the piece we sold to Intella Steel, was what I was thinking. So we sold it to them under the assumption that they were going to develop it as an industrial piece.
And then changed.
And then now they're wanting to change it. Okay, I probably have an issue with that.
Did we not have, because I thought, and this was, I think before, but I thought Course Lab, there was some sort of clawback if they didn't build. Was there no clawback in this contract if they didn't, because I mean, obviously we sold this property at a very low number to encourage industrial development, just like Course Lab. Was there no clawback?
Frankly, I can't remember. Fred, do you remember if there, I don't think there was.
No, there was not, because all parties intended to proceed with industrial development, and they actually had plans drawn up and were applying for permits to do the Intella Steel facility, and the Villages pushed back and said, we bitterly oppose that sort of development on this parcel, and it was withdrawn for that reason because they felt like they couldn't get it with that opposition in front of them. So this is sort of their fallback position.
I don't know. I appreciate Fred's position there. I don't know if I would categorize it as that, because I think, from my recollection of how this flowed was, at the time that the property was sold for Intella Steel, it was about October 16, and our planning then was industrial. And I think that was even, I think we did Course Lab first. And both parcels, the Intella Steel one and Course Lab, was 15,000 an acre. I don't remember how many acres. I want to say it was 80 for Course Lab, something like that, 30 for this one, and it was in options. Then the Villages came in. And I don't think there was a big public pushback. I think there was concern that the parcel wouldn't be developed industrially. But at that time too, the city, through me, made overtures to Mr. Smith and his group to change it from the industrial concept to the commercial concept. And I think everybody agreed that after the villages stepped in, that the whole overlay of the land changed from industrial to commercial. And frankly, I think that was the pitch that I sold the commission on, was, we need to get out of the industrial mode and move into the villages mode. And then also explain that I think some of the understanding that we had on that parcel was incorrect, because I think the industrial node was two-phased. It was back to the Ron Stock days of the CR 470 plan, which I want to say was adopted in the early 2000s, where we were only going to have an industrial park of 500 acres, that core part, because the periphery was sludge field and spray field. Then in the 2007s and 2008s and 9s, that concept was changed to the feet park and another air park. And then you saw the map that actually was landed on my desk of all of the property was industrial, and kind of went down that road, and all of it was going to be industrial, about until the time that we sold it to Course Lab. Now, this is just internally from my perspective. When DC Modeling would start yelling at me saying, this concept doesn't work, well, why doesn't it work? Then I started pulling the books from the shelf and figuring it. So I think with this parcel, yeah, it was sold as an industrial. Villages stepped in literally 2 months after, and like I said, we made overtures to buy it back, and it didn't go that way. And then I think the owner reasonably capitulated it to it being developed as commercial. And the feedback that I've gotten from the villages was, as long as it looks and feels and matches our other development, they're okay. Hence, your PUD is painted with the ARD brush. That's how I would paint this scenario.
So, what's staff recommendations for approval?
Approve the PUD as proposed.
So if it's not approved, right now it's zoned in industrial, so the owner can put an industrial facility up right now if it's not approved? On 470, right in the middle of the building?
I would think that that's correct. And that's something I don't think you want to do.
So he purchased it in 16 with the intention of putting IntelliSteel there. Because
Let me answer it the way I know. Fred might be able to put the date in. An option was made October 16th, before anybody knew it was going to go commercial.
Okay, because I was going to say, I know I had 1 or 2 meetings with them on the facility out there and kind of ran through exactly what they do and how they do things and everything else. I guess my question is, I'm not going to ask that question because it's an assumption whether they actually really ever were planning on actually improving it, industrialize, or they just use that to grab a chunk of property.
Commissioner Connell, I can tell you for a fact that the intent was to put the industrial facility there, and the village's purchase changed the character of the neighborhood and sort of made that not a good place for industrial.
Fair enough.
And I would think too, with our spray field future to the south of it, all we can do with that is sell to the villages. If we allow industrial in there, that might not work out so well for that piece of property then.
Yes, I think it's in the best interest of the city to approve the PUD.
So why are the villages in disagreement? Never mind. Okay, Mr. Commissioner Peters, you got anything?
No, I mean, I do, but I'm gonna be quiet.
You're rubbing off on me, Mike. Any public comment? Commissioner Robot, you got anything else?
I'll just say that I agree with Commissioner Connell's comments, and I think that he's probably on the right path, but I don't think we have a whole lot of stay here, and I'm not happy where the city is and the way this went down, but I don't think we have any choice but to go forward with it.
Okay.
It makes
Yes, sir.
perfectly good sense to me to change the zoning on it versus industrial.
Yeah. All right, roll call, ma'am.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 6A2 is also second reading of ordinance. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce, ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 36.9 plus minus acres from PUD Planned Unit Development to PUD Planned Unit Development to allow for a mixed-use residential and commercial development for property generally located east of Florida's Turnpike and south of County Road 470, as legally described in Section 17, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
For motion,
Move for approval.
Second.
discussion from the commission? Discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 6A3 is also an ordinance. Someone like to introduce it, please?
Introduced and has to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, extending the expiration date set by ordinance number 2000-29 and later extended to September 30th, 2003, then extended again to September 30th, 2006, and then extended again to September 30th, 2009, then extended again to September 30th, 2012, then extended again to September 30th, 2015, extended again to September 30th, 2018, then extended to September 30th, 2020, then extended once more to September 30th, 2021, for the participation by the City of Leesburg in the municipal service taxing unit established by Lake County to fund ambulance and emergency medical services and providing an effective date.
Have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion from the commission? Discussion from the public?
I
Yes,
talked to
sir.
Al a little bit earlier. We used to approve this on a 3-year period, and then we went down to 2, I think, and then 1 year, 1 year, 1 year now. And and that's what it looked like in the packet. Am I correct on that? Or?
That's correct.
And I'm just kind of wondering why we don't approve it for 3 years. It's not like we're going to walk away from the money.
Well,
Just-
and again, is the discussion, this is, the MSTU is charged to us to get the services. I think statutorily, we have to kiss this ring. We don't technically collect this money.
Right.
But we benefit from this money. And basically, this annual process is our right to kind of gripe about the tax every year. I think if you want to extend it, then you can. And that's up to you. We've done it on the 1-year basis. Chief, did I miss anything in that explanation?
No, the only thing it gave you was the ability to negotiate, if you wanted to say that, if you were not happy with the service on an annual basis instead of a 3-year contract.
There's not a whole lot of negotiating to do, but I think the body has making a silent point to do it year by year. If you want to change that process, let us know.
I will say that I've heard some talk that the county may be reevaluating how they provide this, because it's they spend a lot of money on it. So I don't know where those discussions would go, but I guess one advantage of a 1 year, and I never thought about this, is if they were to talk about changing things around, maybe we'd have a little more say in how that discussion went.
Okay.
I want to hear from Dan, because Dan always talks about this, so I guess he's wearing down now, you know what I'm saying, how much we charge, get paid for ambulance service. Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 4 is the ordinance. Someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, vacating approximately 2.25 acres of right-of-way for property generally located south of Dixie Avenue and east of Lake Street, as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 69, Public Records of Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Yes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Al had something.
Yeah, if you would, let me just, I don't know if the camera can hone in, but you've got a picture, and Commissioner Burry talked to me today. The next two items, 4 and 5. Let me just advise the commission on this one. This is Venetian Isles, kind of south, and we did both of these on first reading already, set the public hearing for today. We're vacating right-of-way in 2 areas in the next 2 issues. Item number 4 here kind of does the H. The H is the area that's actually going to become a retention pond. We feel very extremely comfortable that you can vacate this property. It doesn't have a public impact. Everything you talked about is okay. Item 5 vacates, I think, 0.78 acres in an L-shaped, which is kind of the continuation of Clark and Malathon Circle, if you will. There's a long history of why we did it that way. It's been sitting on the shelf for a couple years before we processed this. Some of it was to keep the area as a private road, which is what the Malathon Circle people want. So there's a clause that was in that ordinance that we didn't catch that was supposed to be in there. And it's section 1 or 2 that the city vacates the right-of-way but retains its rights for utility purposes. That should say utility and ingress-egress. The ingress-egress portion of that's not in there. So before you approve item number 5, that's the one we want to go back and double-check to make sure, and I need to visit this with Fred to make sure Fred agrees and get everybody up to speed, because it was just brought to my attention before the meeting. So my advice is going to be approve this item that clears up the bulk of their proposed subdivision. No public intent there, release that. In fact, by statute, you don't have the right to sell that because there was no public purpose. When we get to item 5, I'm going to ask that you table it to a date certain, the next meeting, which is the 26th, so we don't have to re-advertise. Let me clear that up and then come back and advise you how to deal with the L section. My knee-jerk reaction is probably going to tell you to release the H tonight, and I think and we need to go back and review the minutes of the Malathon Circle issues, because I think they're the ones who talked us into doing this in 2 pieces, but I think we might have inadvertently on a staff level left out their request in the ordinance that was before you. Fred, does that make sense?
Yes, that'll work fine.
So we would recommend approval on item number 4 and table item
5.
number 5.
Okay.
So we got 4 up.
Yes, we're on number 4 now. So we got the motion and second, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more discussion from the commission? Discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. So item 685 is an ordinance. We'll entertain a motion. Do we need to read that title, Fred? Or we can just make the, yes?
Yeah, you need to,
Okay.
read it.
Somebody introduce
Okay,
it,
I'll introduce it to be read by title only.
then table.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, vacating approximately .73 acres of right-of-way and retaining a utility and a public ingress and egress easement for property generally located south of Dixie Avenue and east of Lake Street, as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 69, Public Records of Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay, so we're now in discussion from the commission. You need to.
Yeah, and I think they want to open the public hearing and then table it to the 26th.
Yes.
Okay, we're now open for public hearing. Is anyone who here on this item?
And even if there were a motion to table, it would supersede that.
All right, so.
I'd like to make a motion to table to the July 26th meeting.
July 26th, okay, second.
Second.
All right, this item has been tabled to July 26th. Okay, so we'll move to our first reading of ordinances. Ordinance 6B1. It's the ordinance, would like to introduce it, please.
I'll introduce, may ask be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 160 plus minus acres from PUD planned unit development to PUD planned unit development to allow for mixed-use development for property generally located west of County Road 33 and south of Florida's Turnpike as legally described in sections 33 and 34, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
This is the first reading. This item will lay over. Anybody have anything they'd like to say on this item tonight? All right. Item 6B2 is also a first reading of ordinance. Someone like to introduce it?
Introduced and asked to read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, establishing the Village Community Development District Number 14 pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, providing for authority and power of the district, providing for the Board of Supervisors of the district, providing for the district budget, providing for functions of the district, providing for miscellaneous provisions, and providing an effective date.
It's also the first reading. Anything you would like to input tonight? Fred, you got something?
No, not on this.
All right, this item will also lay over. So we'll move to our non-routine items. This C is the resolution of the City Commission. Would someone like to introduce the resolution, please?
I'll introduce, be read by title only.
Thank you.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, executing and submitting the certification of taxable value for fiscal year 2021-22 to the Lake County Property Appraiser and providing an effective date.
Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Do a second.
Second.
Discussion. Public discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Burry,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 6B, C2 is a resolution. Would like to introduce it, please?
Introduced and asked to read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a sports tourism recruitment agreement between the City of Leesburg and Allison Strange and Associates LLC, parentheses ASA, and providing an effective date.
Do I have a
Move
motion?
for approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I was
There's- I don't-
gonna say, ask Al if he can just kind of
Yeah,
run
there's
through that.
a couple of the commissioners contacted me. I contacted Allison. Look, you guys caught me at budget time, so I feel like I'm unprepared. Normally, I'm pretty prepared. But in this case, so I got a redlined version. There were three issues at point that the feedback I got. Since then, went back to talk with Ms. Strange, Allison, if you will, and have a modification. So I got a clean copy and a red line copy. I didn't get the red line copy for the commission. But let me hit the 3 points and then tell you how it was modified in the red line version. The first point was there was concern over pay in two ways. One, pay a lump sum prior to. Second, there was some confusion over what the cap would be, or how much the contract would actually go. And then third was how you define room nights. You know, and room nights was a key kind of thing on payment and earnings because it is a performance-based contract. So the modifications came that the agreement begins on the 30th. We strike something there. Allison, if you want to help me out. We added in a paragraph that describes how room nights are done. Then we also modified that there's a cap for the contract at $100,000, and we confirmed some termination stuff. You want to add anything in there, Allison?
You've adequately summarized the modifications.
So,
Perhaps not with a lot of detail, but generally speaking, perfect.
any questions? Okay. Look, in short, I think this is a good contract the city wants to do. You know, we've put a lot, and the good comparison here is really the partnership type of thing. The partnership has been the Leesburg partnership has been a great partnership with the city in that Main Street organization for events and functions that's brought commerce. The same thing goes on in the sports world. And in the past few years, we've really invested a lot more in our infrastructure and sports. We've really gone out, I think, recently to be the lakefront city. Part of the lakefront city is the recreational amenities that we bring. When we modified our mission statement, I think mission number 4 was to make us the lakefront city. So the concept is with the infrastructure and the improvements that we put in at the baseball field, potentially boating events, yachting events, these type of things that use Susan Street, the basin here, and Sleepy Hollow more. Those are those sporting concepts that we want to invest in. The entity here that we met, I guess, in the past year that really helped us out with the NTA was Allison Strong's company, who's been noted. And frankly, I think if you don't get in a partnership with Allison, she's going to take her events to our competing cities. And so I think this is a performance-based contract that uses grant monies to bring events. And from the commission, I heard those 3 issues, and I think these issues address those comments. So I would encourage you to approve the contract.
Allison, what events, are you targeting to bring upcoming?
Allison is the best to tell you
Yes.
what she's
Yes.
got in her secret hopper. So, if you pay, you get Allison.
Well, the 2 venues that we're targeting are going to be Sleepy Hollow Sports Complex and then the Venetian Center here, the entire Venetian Gardens area. So we're looking for Sleepy Hollow for softball events and football events, particularly. The city has some soccer leads, so certainly I'm happy to help facilitate those, get those in, see if we can find bigger ones, that kind of situation. But out there, you've got 6 softball diamonds, 2 baseball diamonds, and 2 soccer fields. So we are looking at baseball events as well. I'm not going to lie, Pat Thomas Stadium is a gorgeous facility that I'd love to see a little bit more use at. So baseball comes into play. So diamond sports, football, soccer out at Sleepy Hollow, and then with Pat Thomas. And then here at the Venetian Gardens, primarily conventions and concerts are kind of what we were looking at. Again, certainly open to other suggestions, thoughts, goals, dreams. If there's a favorite thing that you've always wanted to see, let me know. Got 3 years to make it happen if you approve this. So that's what we're looking at right now, and looking to nail down 6 events for 2022.
And let me add one of the as Travis and I talk with Allison, one of the timeframes that we're really trying to target is, and it's written in the contract, so you got to know it to catch it, but it's written March to January, because January to March, that's that baseball window that the TDC does. So we're getting those events, Allison's working those events, she's getting funded from TDC. So there's that whole March to January timeframe where we want to bring in events in the summertime or fall time that aren't peak season events that keep us going all year. So the contract's written with focus to try to get us those off-peak events.
Particularly summers are the real target. And those can be some of the hardest in Central Florida because of the heat and the rain with outdoor sports. So looking at how can we get creative and what can we bring in that appreciates this facility, for example, and where you can anticipate the rain and enjoy it and have fun in the rain, right? Because we all live here, we love it. So that's the target window, is summer and then into the fall. That's really where I'd like to see the bulk of these events coming in.
Okay, so are we, excuse me, we talking about youth travel leagues? You're talking about colleges, or or are you talking about both?
Most of these are going to be youth. Youth is actually one of the biggest markets in sports tourism because they do tend to travel with parents and siblings. So you're getting more room nights out of that, more heads and beds in that respect. So those are really where my connections are, is in that youth travel industry. There are certainly other ways in the sports world. There are certainly other aspects you can go after. I have found that championships are not necessarily particularly high room night generators. My goal is to fill the room nights, and that tends to come from youth sports. So that's our target on the youth side. On the concert side and the convention side, we're looking to be bringing in, 250 to 1,000 room nights on an event would be a big event, I think, that we would be looking at. Whereas on the youth sports side, you're easily talking 1,200 to 2,500 room nights for a single event. So we want to balance that out.
So as far as the travel, like say baseball, I mean, you would go out and like try to recruit AAU or top team or something like that? Or, I mean, you're talking about putting a tournament on yourself or attracting organizations to come down here and put a big tournament on?
It is much more about attracting other people to come.
Absolutely.
I'm busy enough myself. So what I'm really doing right now, specifically speaking, is there's an event organizer that I would love to see come here to Lake County. They've kind of been dabbling their toes from time to time, but they have winter and summer events. They have a state championship, a winter championship, and a summer national championship. That is a new event for this organizer. And I am aggressively going after this particular individual to see if I can get him to give Lake County an opportunity to bid, knowing that Sleepy Hollow is going to be one of the top facilities for that location. But I mean, you'd be talking 500 teams in that situation, you know, anywhere from 150 to 500 teams. So that's a lot. And my goal is when I go after these events to have them say Sleepy Hollow is their home. That is where the championships are played, for example. And that's what we'd be going after. Things like that.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So, Allison, on your 6 events, is that your maximum number, or if you get 4 events that may not meet your max, will you go past 6 events to try to get more heads and beds, or will you just say I'm at 6?
6 is my commitment to you. And Alan, what I would say is his infinite wisdom asked me to incentivize myself even more to keep going. So that's why you see the opportunity to earn more money with more events. Okay. I wasn't comfortable actually in this one to simply tie it to room nights, because I think there are ways that you can easily meet a 2,000 room night criteria with 1 or 2 events, and that doesn't help. So in our conversations, Al and I agreed that we wanted a minimum of 6 events between the 2 facilities. So again, it's not even just one facility, it's using both facilities. And then a minimum of 2,000 room nights between those 6 events. So the incentive opportunities that follow the base pay come for every 2 events over 6 up to 10, and every 1,000 room nights over 3,000 room nights up to, I think it's 5,000.
So can you tell me about your concerts, like where they would be, demographics, what type of connections you have with concerts?
For example, I have 2 promoters that I'm working with right now that they're more in the sports industry, the concert industry. So I really go to them and say, hey, here's what I want, here's who I'm looking for. Can you go get me those people? And a lot of this is gonna be staff driven on what they think the community would like, because in a concert situation, a lot of times if you have a good promoter, it's really about just telling them what you're looking for and setting it up. You have a beautiful venue here with the gardens. You've got Pat Thomas Stadium as a potential opportunity. You've got the waterfront.
With those speakers in there, right?
And Ski Beach.
Getting those.
I'm
$400,000 in the CIP, you know, it's in the works.
We're working together. So when you tell me that's really the goal is, sometimes we spend money on facilities that maybe we shouldn't have spent or that didn't help. So by saying, hey, what are you trying to attract? And then I can go find out what their needs are, might help you make some of these decisions on how to spend your capital funding. So, from a concert standpoint, it's really about having relationships with promoters. There's a couple here nearby that are really excited about potentially doing something here in Leesburg. And when I go to them, I simply say, what's it gonna take to get you here at Leesburg? And then one of the questions that I was asked, and it's relevant to that, is at that point, what I do with your staff is help them go to the county and see if we can tap into any tourism development money. Because there are marketing programs, there are room night programs, there are capital programs, and what can you tap into? And that's something that I'm very familiar with and certainly happy to assist your staff on as well. So with the concern about the future and payment up front, for example, I shared with someone else today, you're gonna know at my October report, the first report, what really I'm looking at for 22. December is going to be about the latest that you're going to hear about 22, because after that I'm looking at 23, because all of these events book. If you're talking real events, they book 6
Right.
to 18 months out. So we're already on a little bit of a time crunch for me, because I'm really wanting to get summer of '22 to be a big time for us.
Well, you asked for our wish list. I'm just gonna say my wish list. I would love to see you put in a African-American promoted concert here in Leesburg. Lake County, we've had a very rough time in the last 15, 20 years of anything of R&B, gospel. So if you can assist with that, I think that'd be paramount for Lake County. I don't think anybody is able to do it at a big level, so.
Ooh, I love a challenge, and I'm a big fan of getting to yes.
So that's my wish list.
So you have Al send me a name of maybe 3 that you like, and we'll go after them and see what we can get. That's the point.
Well,
I mean, this should be fun.
I'm kind of old now, so anybody be good for me. You get Ron DMC, I'll probably be happy, but.
Look, when you're talking sports and concerts and festivals.
Did the pastor just say that? Yeah, I'm sorry.
If you're not having fun with it, you're not doing it right. So this is a great industry. I love this industry. I love being a part of it. And this is an opportunity for me to take visions like that and make them a reality.
All right.
Just a question, because we're looking at upgrading Pat Thomas Field, and there was talk of looking at the sound system. For concerts, do they bring their own sound equipment, or do we need to have?
A lot of times they bring their own.
That's what I thought. I only throw that out there because we're talking about Pat Thomas Field. I'm not, I don't know. I just heard discussion on, improving the sound system there. I just
Well, I
want to
like
make sure
when
we're not buying something we don't need, that's all.
Yeah, when I think about sound system with Pat Thomas, when I'm at Venetian Gardens, I want to hear somebody say, third baseman just made a dive and play, not a 50,000 watt sound system. I'm looking
Okay,
for.
and see, I wasn't clear. I thought you were talking about sound system, and I was wondering, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, not that much. Just a song we can hear when Jim is singing and take me out to the ball game, we can hear his voice real clear.
I don't know if you want to hear that.
Any other question for Miss Allison? Oh, yes, ma'am.
So,
go ahead.
Just have something to say. Well, I guess I don't have a question, so she doesn't have to stand up here for it, but if we were going to continue discussion. But
I think public comment, you got something real quick?
I just had a question. Is this an ongoing thing? What's the time frame? Is this continuous for the next 5-10 years, or I'm just curious?
So the contract is written as a 3-year agreement that can be terminated by the city at any time. The caveat in there is that if I've already achieved my goals for that year, then I would still be paid for that year, assuming that those events actually take place. Otherwise, I would have to pay back that money to the city. And this contract was actually drafted consistent and commensurate, and I copied, one might say, the Greater Orlando Sports Commission contract that we have with Lake County. So I wanted it to be consistent with what we already are doing here in Lake County with other event attraction businesses.
So you do have one similar just to Lake County?
I do not. Lake County has one with the Greater Orlando Sports Commission.
Okay.
And I use that as a model for this.
All right. Dan, you had anything else?
I'm excited about it. I'm always a little skeptical, about the city spending money to market stuff, right? But doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. I think this is a good balance of, let's kind of dip our toes in. Let's make sure it works. I told Alice, I said, look, I don't know anything about, sports and promotion and stuff. And my only concern, so I'm really happy with the $100,000 cap, is that, I don't know, if you get us 20,000 room nights, does that provide, how much value does that provide to the city? Like, there's a number. We don't get the tourism tax revenue like the county does, but we do want the hotels and restaurants to do well. And we spend a similar amount promoting Bike Fest each year, and that's been good for the city. But this allows us to kind of spread events out, which I think is good, as opposed to just having just one. So we can now kind of diversify a little bit. So, yeah, I'm excited to just see, to see how it goes, and hopefully be very successful, and we'll have a lot of great events.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I think Allison has already kind of brought the Big Ten to us, put us on the map in college softball, and I believe that this is a very beneficial thing for the city going forward.
That's a good point. And I just point out for especially people watching that maybe haven't been involved in all this, you know, they hear us spending $100,000 on this. Well, Allison's already helped us, we played a big part in helping us get, what was it, $200,000 in grant?
It was closer to three.
$300,000 to upgrade Susan Street that we didn't have to, or Susan Street, to upgrade Sleepy Hollow that we didn't have to pay for. So, yeah, she's already shown what she can do here.
Yes.
290.
295, wasn't it? 290.
Was it 295?
Any other public comment? Well, thank you, Ms. Allison. We're getting ready to vote, so you're smiling, so look like you just made us all happy. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Burry?
Yes.
Mayor Christian?
Yes. All right, Allison, look forward to some great activities in Leesburg. We're gonna be in Orlando Center every week. All right, information reports, financial report, Al, anything?
Nothing.
City attorney items,
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
city manager items,
Nothing this
nothing
evening.
tonight, all right, roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Burry?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Just mention that at the last MPO meeting, they mentioned that DOT's funded a complete streets, I think it's design or like the first step for both East and West Main Street. And so complete streets is what was done on Dixie Avenue, where we had all the landscaping and stuff, and where they come in and look from, you know, both traffic safety and then pedestrian and cyclist friendly. And so the fact that they're funding that, and I'm sure we'll get information when the first meetings are to talk about that. That's a good step, because that means it's a project they've identified, and that, you know, hopefully a couple years from now, they would then, after the design's done, fund the project like they did Dixie. We didn't have to pay for Dixie, so that's it.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Mayor Christian?
Nothing, I'm kind of excited about the sports market, and I just can't wait to see what happens in Leesburg with the new activities that are generated. So I think it's just a good move for Leesburg, and just want to thank the commission for the visionaries for our city. That's all for tonight. Motion to adjourn.